Steve Gamache here with the Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time we are looking at the Tanaka series. This is their Aogami or Blue Paper number 2 Damascus Petty 150mm knife. This line of knives, as we mentioned, has a core steel of reactive carbon Aogami or Blue Paper number 2 Hitachi steel. The heat treat is about 60 Rockwell, 61 on that core steel. The construction is a layered etched cladding on either side of that core steel, and that is a soft iron cladding, so there's no stainless on this knife. It's all reactive over the top of that blue number 2. We'll get a close-up look at that. The weight on the knife is very light, 65 grams, 2.3 ounces. The blade length is, this particular sample, 154. All these dimensions and weights will vary just a little bit from knife to knife since they're handmade. Overall length, about 10.8 inches. These are pretty thin knives. Coming out of the spine here, it's 2.4 millimeters, and that does thin out a little bit as you go through the blade, and then thins out, of course, with the grind of the knife at the tip. I wouldn't say this has a ton of distal taper to it, but it tapers off a bit throughout the length of the blade. The blade height is 34.3 millimeters on this particular sample, so a little bit taller at the heel than some 150 petty knives. The handle type is just a basic, no frills, D-shaped hoe wood buffalo horn ferrule. Little bit of a step here between the wood and the ferrule. You could sand that down pretty easily if you wanted to do that. Very, very light handles. Circumference on this handle right here at the junction of the ferrule and the wood, about 61 millimeters, 2.4 inches, so smaller to fit this size of the blade. Let's take a close-up look at this knife. The finish on these is really cool. It's kind of an understated layered cladding, and they've got really nice, deeply chiseled kanji. And the grind of these is just exceptional. It's just a beautiful grind from the spine down to where it thins out at the edge, and you can just feel it with your fingers. It's a real nicely crafted blade. The spine is relieved just enough, as well as the back of the blade, where it's pretty comfortable out of the box. You could even round that off a little bit more if you wanted to, but I think these are pretty well ready to go out of the box. The exception would be the edge. The edge wasn't super consistent. It was sharp in some places and not at others, so I'll give it a 4, maybe 5 out of 10. But these will get very, very sharp, and put your own edge on these and they will get screaming sharp. Here's the back side with some embossed symbols on that side, or kanji on that side. As I said, the grind on these is very, very nice. The fit and finish is quite good. It is an all-reactive blade. So, again, there's no stainless on this, but the trade-off is you get awesome Aogami core steel on this, which is super easy to sharpen. Real high-performance knives. And here's, what, too far. There we go. Here's what the knife looks like on the cutting board. Before we do that, let's take a look at the profile. So this is the style of blade we've kind of been calling a mini gyuto on the site. So the shape is that of a mini gyuto style. And this has a taller blade, at the taller height at the heel. 150 petties with a shorter height blade are more what, I don't know, I would categorize those as like a utility style blade. So the advantage of a taller blade is you've got that profile that allows some height at the heel, and I can't really crank my hand around here, but you'll get board clearance. So if you want to use this on a cutting board for more task-oriented to that versus just strictly cutting smaller things or even possibly in-hand work, the taller blade gives you that advantage. So I think that's a little more versatile style of blade, shape of blade. But here's what it looks like on the cutting board. These just have a real nice profile to them. Tiny bit of flat spot towards the heel, but hey, it's a 150 petty. It's not a big old long honkin' gyuto. So there's your profile. This is a real nice. You could easily rock over shorter stuff with this. It gets nice and thin at the tip. Again, the quality's great. It's very light, very nimble. Balance point is right about there, so it's super nimble. So this is a nice little petty for all kinds of stuff. Drag it out when you don't want to pull your big chef's knife out, and it's just a real nice knife. So there you have the Tanaka Aogami, our blue number 2 Damascus Petty 150mm knife.